Okay, well, let's get started. First off, this is a Falco call. It is recorded, so if anybody doesn't want to have their face recorded, feel free to shut off your camera. We do follow sort of a code of conduct guidelines. Basically, what it's about is I usually like to use the Bill and Ted quote just to be excellent to one another. We're all here to try to accomplish the same goals, so be nice. So first off, does anybody who hasn't been on the calls before want to introduce themselves, say hello, anything like that they haven't done before? No? All right, okay. So before we get to the agenda, is there any sort of open things that people want to discuss that are not an agenda item? If not, we can move directly to the agenda. Okay, all right, chatty crowd today. So in terms of agenda, I think the first agenda item is that by you, Mauro?
Yes, that's fine.
We were actually talking to Leo about this a little earlier, but yeah, if you want to discuss it, go ahead.
Yeah, basically this comes from we've been trying to update our fork of the Falco Libs in order to make sure that some of our changes actually work with the latest ones. And in doing so, we realized that there's no stable tag.
Exactly.
So it's fine. We can just pull master, but in doing so, we actually found a bug. So yeah, it'd be really nice if we have like the stable libs, and it's also kind of painful because we don't know when we should pull. Like we can just pull master, but if it's broken, it's broken. And we are gonna have to wait. So I see that there are already a few links there, and I actually found an issue that's open in the repo. But I don't know if anyone wants to add to it.
Yeah, if I can reply, this is already an ongoing effort. We did a lot of time ago a proposal about all the system that we would like to adopt about versioning and release libs artifact. Recently, I also added another proposal that's basically an amendment to the original proposal, because we are divorcing the driver version from the lib version. Okay, so we will have two different tags inside the same repo. And this is an ongoing effort. The only thing is that there is no deadline yet. But personally, my target will be the next Falco release in May. And by the way, if anyone wants to help with that, I would be happy. So if you want, just ask me in the channel what we have to do, because basically the only thing that, in my opinion, we have to do is we have to handle this correctly in Falco. I mean, the new version mechanism. And also we should, it's not really required to start releasing libs artifact from the first release, but at the least we should prepare the CI and think like that. Maybe there is some fix to do in CMake. And then we can create a milestone and target the first tag, for example, for the same day or a few days before the Falco release. This is my idea.
Also, Leo, if I may build on top of what you said, I assume there will be also some effort to be spent on documentation. I mean, because today we say Falco has a release cadence of 3 releases per year. We mimic basically what Kubernetes does and whatever. Yeah. But once we introduce a dedicated versioning schema for libs, and also 2 schemas, one for the drivers and one for the libs, we need to clarify what's in the fixed release cadence and what's supposed to be release independent. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge to be written down, I assume. I
already thought about that, but I haven't written it down. I would like to write the release MD also for libs. My idea is that for drivers, we should just tag a new driver version only when it's needed. So basically it's a on-demand effort, because usually drivers receive only bug fixes and sometimes some addition in its schema. It's a complex topic because inside the drivers there are two other versions, one for the schema and one for the API, but I don't want to talk about it now. On the other
there's
hand,
also syscall addition that causes
exactly. So I would just use best, I would say, I don't know how to call it, best effort approach. I mean, just release the driver every time it's needed. Regarding libs, it will be convenient to do a Falco release, a libs release some weeks before each Falco release. This would be convenient. At least this is the minimum that I would suggest. But we can also plan to do libs release more regularly, because maybe we want to, for example, in the last month, there are a lot of people that fixed and changed a lot of things on libs. So maybe it would be smarter to release more frequently. But I don't know. We can discuss about this. For sure, this is something that the whole Falco security organization need. We have to release libs before the Falco.
Yeah, sure. So that once we have a planned Falco release, we already know which semantic version Falco we rely on, and possibly have that released and as an artifact before. Okay, no, I totally agree with this.
Yeah. By the way, I added in the HackMD the link to the two proposals I mentioned before.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Of course, if you have any feedback about those proposals or anything else that can help libs consumers, because I know you are a libs consumer, also Terry is a libs consumer, any feedback is always welcome.
Definitely, I'll take a look, and since it would help us a lot, I'll try to make some time to help any way I can.
Thank you.
Also, the bug that we found, there's a PR open for that. So one of my workmates, Giles, opened it. So.
Perfect.
Also, I would like to add a thing. I don't know if it was mentioned, but of course, I completely agree with having versioning the scheme for libs, absolutely. But in the meantime, if to answer the question, what is the stable version? It's the one that's written in Falco. Like if you go on the CMake of Falco, you will find the commit hash of the latest tested thing. So maybe that also had the bug that you found. It's possible, but in general, the best shot. That's how I do it when I want to try a version that I know for sure that it works. To just go and look what Falco has.
Yeah, I saw that there's the commit there, but feels a little inconvenient having to go to a different repo to find a commit SHA to then like go find that SHA into the repo and try to.
Totally agree, but that's just, let's say, a makeshift solution until we have an actual one.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but I really hope we address this issue within this Falco release, because it is a long-standing issue we had.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I'm talking to Leo about it as well. Getting those in, I think would really help and really sort of help the libs to stand on their own a little bit more. So that's really great conversation. Thank you for bringing that up, Mauro. So now, Luca, the floor is yours. You can.
Thank you, Terry. So basically, as you know, Falco 0.31.1 has just been released, and that release has features and security content as well. I couldn't discuss the security content before the release, so I just wanted to spend a couple words on it right now, so that people don't think I'm hiding something. Now, there's actually an interesting discussion here. Essentially, this release fixes and mitigates some potential root bypasses that were discovered by some researchers that we know that are listed in the advisory. I posted the link to the advisory in the HackMD link. But long story short, it says that since our Falco Security Libs take the user space buffers and parameters, including user space buffers for the system call at system call exit time, it's possible that a user space program could start a system call and modify its own buffers while the system call is working, is doing its thing. And then by the time it exits, our kernel module will read the user space memory and read something that has been tampered with and is not the thing that we expect, especially in security rules. Now, this doesn't affect all system calls and all events, and there are some events that were demonstrated where this can have an impact because they are commonly used, and we have fixed those in this version by having buffer collection at entry time as well. In this case, if we can collect both entry and exit, then we are not experiencing dropping. We can take the entry events because those are the ones that we trust more. But also we have reviewed the presentation from the same researchers and some research and kernel mailing list stuff. And it seems that we can, in the future for Falco, we can have new features that help us with this and other things. So basically, there are security events in the Linux kernel that are the ones that are used by LSMs. Linux Security Module. Linux Security Module, if you didn't know, are not really modules, are things that you have to actually compile into your kernel. So building one for Falco wouldn't be a good idea. But what you can do is to trace these events from a kprobe and eBPF as well. There is actually more supporting eBPF than the kernel to do so. And in order to do, if we actually get that, we can have these events as extra events in Falco that are security events from the security subsystem in the kernel that we can actually use to enrich the events that we already have. So if some tampering or whatever happens, we take the security event and use it in libsysp so that it's completely transparent to rules. And that one can also give us something like a symlink resolution and stuff that it's very hard to do in the kernel if you are not like if you try to do it by hand, and not even get me started on eBPF, because that creates even let's say another order of magnitude of complexity. And can also be, I think, at least in theory, it's fun just to have security events, even if you want to run Sysdig or Falco, because Sysdig is an example of a thing that can collect events, but Sysflow is another, and anything other client that you have that can just list events, that would work with security events too. And you can build the Falco rules with security events. I think it's a great thing to explore. This is currently, I don't have immediate plans on working on this, and especially if someone in the community is experienced on this stuff, it would be great to hear what you think, and that the issue is open, and any comments. And also our Lorenzo did a bit of research about it. Maybe he can share a bit of his thoughts on
yeah. I've started doing a preliminary research on how keyprobes can affect the system, the overall system, and I will share it with you in the issue once I'm ready. I think the security events are a good feature to add, and I'm up for working on it. For now, I just wanted to say that.
Cool.
Great. Well, very interesting stuff. Cool. All right. So I guess we'll move on to topic 3. So topic 3 is actually something that I'm working with, Fred, Luca, and Michaela. Is that the proper way to pronounce your name? I just want to
Incredibly, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Awesome. Want to be the right. So what we've been working on, and with some of Leo and Mauro's input as well, on a UBI version of Falco, UBI-based version. For those people that don't know what a UBI image is, it's basically output by Red Hat. It's really it's a container image or Docker image that is based off of Red Hat, but it doesn't supply all the same packages that are available. And so what it's really trying to do is maintain security and limit vulnerabilities. And so on the good side of it, it keeps vulnerabilities down by essentially releasing new UBIs almost in some cases every other week. So that's the good thing, is that it can keep vulnerabilities down in the image to zero. But the bad thing is that you have to keep updating it a bit to do that. So we actually built a UBI-based image of Falco that supports the latest GCC and LLVM. So it would work on more modern, like things like OpenShift and Kubernetes. It would be more designed for that, and it would be designed for systems where if you're trying to install into your Kubernetes and your security operations team really have big concerns about vulnerabilities, this might be a really good option. I think it's also, I think Luca was saying, it's a little bit smaller too than the original image, so that's a good part of that. And Fred has actually built a little bit of a CI pipeline around GitHub Actions, to build the image, and to right now we're going to create it as a PR, but to host it for anybody that wants to try it. I don't know, Fred, if you want to talk a little bit about it or show anything.
I think you covered it, Carol. I posted a few links there for people if they're curious. We're currently automating the build of those UBI-based Falco images in our fork with GitHub Actions, and the workflow is automatically checking periodically if there is a new UBI, and it's basically tagging and building a new Docker Falco image with that new UBI. So you always get the latest version of the UBI there too. And if you look at I think at the GitHub container registry link I posted, the tagging schema, we were discussing that yesterday, will of course have the Falco version, but also have the UBI version attached to it. So that's how we would envision if we implement a CI workflow for those images in the Falco project. You would also want to attach the UBI tag to the final tag, so that you can differentiate. So essentially, you can have releases of Falco that would trigger a new build, but once you have new UBIs, we would also be updating the latest tags that we have. The first PR that we're going to be open today, I hope, is just the link that I sent there. There is a branch, the Falco UBI image, so that contains the Docker file, the entry point, which is a little modified from the entry point that the traditional typical Falco image has, to support the UBI. And there is something inside the Docker file. We have added a label for the UBI version so that you can also track the metadata from the labels. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We are not going to open a PR for the GitHub workflow at this point, because I think there are discussions in the infra team about what will be the approach for the CI, I think, moving forward. So
yeah, Fred, I can take it from here. Since I just ended discussing this with both Jonah and Max from the infra maintainer team. Basically, we need to clear some things out, especially on how to provide people. So as I said last time, we are evaluating moving away from Circle because we are getting a very bad experience during the last at least couple of Falco releases, which means at least 6 months. We have a couple of alternatives, meaning one is GitHub Actions, the other one is moving everything to Prow, which is the Kubernetes invented system for doing CI/CD and workflow automation, which Falco already has in place. We are a little bit biased towards GitHub Actions. Still, we need to do some final testing and to provide the community with a specific definition on what to place where, basically. So there will be stuff that will remain on a per repo basis, so meaning hosted on GHA, and some other that will, so Pro is here to stay, we will not be removing it. So there's a few jobs that it's not actually testing nor building, so not actually CI in the strict sense, but we still want to perform like linting or like making sure we have DCO for each single commit or some other workflow related stuff that will stay on Pro. So as soon as we finish testing, and probably we will also post in the Kubernetes Slack to ask for some help on this. And the moment in which we have a clear idea on how to describe our workflow, our new workflow for people to understand where to put things, we will probably be ready for having our first repo moving towards GHA. As I said last time, we were taking in consideration to have the plugins repository as our first candidate, but since you already made some effort basically on the libs repository, we can evaluate having libs as the first candidate for the migration to GHA.
We'll be happy to help with the migration too.
Super.
Yeah, one thing is, if I may say, that I like about the GitHub Actions, and again, they can of course coexist with other CI, in particular CD pipelines. But the point about the GitHub Actions is that it's very easy to test locally, right? I don't know if you guys have used Act and things like that, but you can basically, it's very developer friendly. So and
it's also well documented.
Yes.
Contrary to what happens with Prow, basically.
Absolutely. And once you have, for example, well documented, for example, what are the secrets that are available and so on, I don't have to be a maintainer to be able to actually make contributions to this, right? For example, if there are images that are self-hosted in GitHub container registry, or if there are, steps in your workflow for quality assurance, those can be contributed by developers as well. Without necessarily have to have management access and things like that. So I think it's great. Yeah. Anyway,
I expect we will be ready to make the first steps towards migrating libs repo in some weeks from now, probably 2 to 3 weeks from now. Don't take this for granted, but this is the time frame we are targeting, basically.
Yeah, if you want to involve me and Taro on the discussion, we can help with the migration. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, I agree that libs is a good candidate because currently it doesn't have Circle CI. It has just Pro and has no release mechanism yet. So I believe it would be perfect to start with.
Great.
Awesome. No, that sounds great. So on the UBI side, we'll put a PR out on that pretty soon. And if anybody wants to try the image, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to like I say, it's experimental thing right now, but it could be beneficial to various environments. So I think that's the agenda. Does anybody?
Sorry, I did want to mention. I think I've been asking around to try to find someone that can help us actually get the UBI image into the Red Hat catalog or the Red Hat registry. The response is basically that there's some reorganization going on in those areas. So I apologize for the delay on this. And the person that's actually helping me is on board. Someone wants to contact them and just talk directly to them on what the need is. I don't know if you want to get the handle for them or the email.
I mean,
maybe,
yeah. I mean, if you can, share with us who the person is, we could.
Awesome.
Yeah. I guess this is going to be the step following establishment of a CI, right? We have to have the automated building, I think, the automation. But
the whole Red Hat registry kind of has its own CI. You just provide the GitHub repository or any repository like
so we would,
and it just pulls and builds internally. So
I think that's awesome, so that we don't need to have as a prerequisite the whole new GitHub Action infrastructure running for that, and we can actually have just support for it. The first step, of course, was the image, and thanks a lot, Terry and Fred, for the awesome work there, because I looked at the Docker file in their branch already, and it looks great to me. I will, of course, wait for the other maintainers, but it's great. If you can share who we should be talking to about how the automation work for Red Hat catalog and certification processes work, I will also be happy to help and also pull in necessary maintainers when is needed. Thanks a lot, Mauro.
Yeah, I'll figure out the best way to put you guys in contact, and I'll give you the handle.
Awesome, thanks. Really appreciate that. That's awesome. Okay, yeah. So, is there anything else anybody wants to discuss? I take that as a no. All right. Well, good discussion this week. Does anybody want to be MC for next week? You saw how much fun it was that I'm having here. It's party time. Anybody want to try their hand at MC next week? If you do, feel free to post inside the Falco channel. Always love to have new people and hear from new people. So that'd be great. All right. Well, you guys all have. Oh.
Last point, I just forgot. We still have the contribution of the month is still there.
Right. Yeah.
We don't have any candidate except the one I proposed. So it's not really a vote when we only have one person to vote for. So I can share again the link of the thread.
Yes, please share it again. Yes.
Yeah. So propose someone, not yourself, but you can ask a friend to propose yours. But,
there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds great. All right, guys. Well, good evening, good morning, or wherever you guys are. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.